Welcome to today's tutorial. We're gonna talk about this Japanese novel game engine called NovelSphere.js. The games you make will run within the browser, so you can easily access them from your computer, from your smartphone, and I believe even from consoles like the Wii U, which is perfect for like reading novels because you can just like lay in bed and use the screen. So in this tutorial we're gonna go over the basics, how to like show the background, call in characters, move them around the screen, have a text box, change font color, font size, like all the basic stuff, but the basic stuff makes up for like 80%, 90% of what you're gonna have to program. So if you have a strong grip on that, you can already make a lot of stuff. And yeah, I'm just gonna start off by showing you some games that people made with this engine. And probably like the most well-known one is Ghostpia. They recently also made a Switch version, or they're gonna make a Switch version very soon, I believe. So yeah, I'm just gonna have a look at that. We are running this on Chrome on our computer right now, but you could basically just copy the link and view this on any device that has a browser built in. And yeah, I really like the visuals of this game, and the good part about this is it takes advantage of the limitations of this engine, which is why I believe it's a really good tool for learning, because it is very limited. There's not that much you can do, so you have to be creative within your limitations. And there's not gonna be a lot of games that look the same, because you basically have to make everything from scratch. So you basically just have a big canvas and you build everything there yourself using the layers. The following scene is something I just put together really quickly, just to try out different things and demonstrate how easy it is to make something that looks pretty cool. So you could just use some assets from games you like and make some fan fiction or something like that. Obviously there would be like issues with distributing it and publishing it, but yeah, for this tutorial we're gonna use free assets. But if you just want to make something cool, show it to your friends, you can probably just use whatever you like if you don't make it available publicly. And yeah, so we have the background here, we set up the characters, we can move them around, have our text box, have our name box so we know who's talking. And yeah, just use the basics, and this is pretty much going to be most of what you're going to do in this engine, and it just keeps on repeating. And in order to not have to type everything again and again and again, we're going to make use of macros, which are basically like functions. And yeah, that's a big part of using this engine. I'm gonna give you a quick rundown on the code for what we just saw. It's pretty simple. So yeah, when we start the builder, it's gonna start at the first cast file. And yeah, so the first thing we wanted to do is call the macro file. So we have a file here with the macros we made, and yeah, they are basically like functions, so you can pass values to them and they're gonna do the same thing every time using the values you give them. So you don't have to like type everything out every single time. You can just like reuse these in your code to make it easier to read, to make it easier to write. And yeah, after that, it's gonna come back to this file. It's gonna return down here. It's gonna come back to the first cast file. It's gonna initialize our text settings for our text boxes. And then it's gonna hide the text box first because we're gonna fade in from nothing. And it's gonna jump to the main file. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about it really quickly. We're gonna go deeper into this later, but we basically start out by loading our background, making a transition from white or black, like start out from black and go into our background. We're gonna hide the name box and display our text box because the narrator is gonna be talking, so there's not gonna be any name displayed. After that, we're gonna load in our character using the character in center macro. It's here. Yeah, this one. So you can see this macro calls a picture with the value of storage, and we pass storage Mitsurugi and pass layer 0. So Mitsurugi is going to be on layer 0, and all the other values, yeah, it just takes the default value on the right if we don't pass a value. But yeah, we're going to go deeper into this later, but basically you can use macros to make your life a lot easier. So now that you are familiar with what NovelSphere is, we're going to talk about why you should or should not learn NovelSphere.js. So I also did not learn this engine by choice. I'm going to gaming college now in Japan, and they thought this would be a good starting, like a good engine to start us up with, because a lot of people come from a no programming background. And yeah, we're also learning Unity and gonna learn Unreal Engine later on, but they thought this was gonna be a good starting point for us. And yes, I think it kind of is, because it's easy to get into but hard to master. So you can make something pretty cool in like a matter of minutes. And yeah, you're gonna be excited about it. You're gonna want to keep on going, make it better. And yes, but it's gonna be hard to master, because even though you are pretty limited with what you can do, you have a lot of access to JavaScript. You can just use it within this engine. So if you spend a lot of time, you can actually do things you're not supposed to do with novel games. So you can make, for example, a health system, you can make an inventory system, make like all kinds of crazy things within this engine if you spend the time. The next thing is it's very portable. Like I said before, you can use it, the finished product, on your phone, you can use it in your browser. And the next thing, it's easy to debug, because you can just play it within Google Chrome. You can open the developer console, and it's basically going to show you which line has the problem, what is going on, what you have to do to fix it. And the next thing, it might be good or bad, because none of your friends will know about this. Like, one of the reasons I'm doing this right now is because there is nothing about this engine in English. Like, everything is Japanese, the documentation is Japanese, there are no videos about this. So it would be kind of cool to know this, because like nobody else does. It's gonna be hard to look up stuff, but it's good in the way that you're gonna learn a lot of stuff, because it's so easy to just, if you have an error, just like copy paste it into Google and look it up and fix it. But yeah, this way you're actually gonna have to think about what is wrong. You're gonna have to use the console to use the debug, and yeah, actually fix it yourself and figure it out yourself, which is a nice exercise. And yeah, next thing, a lot of games, like even AAA games, well, mostly Japanese games, still have parts in them that are visual novels. So if you're gonna work for like a Japanese game company, or for a game company in general, or you have like an indie project that also uses text in this way, yeah, knowing this engine might give you ideas how to go about how to program that in your own engine. And yeah, it might be a good practice. Next thing is, it teaches the value of clean code and good macro usage, because as you saw before, like it can get kind of crazy really fast. So if you don't have clean code, it's gonna be very frustrating. So it's gonna encourage you to write really clean, readable code. Like even this, it could be improved a lot. I just put this together really quickly, but by making your macros even better, you could cut down the size of your code by a lot. And yes, so it's also going to teach you good macro usage. So you're going to think a lot about how you can change your macros to make your code even cleaner, even shorter. Yeah, another reason why it's good to start with this one is because it's easy to finish projects. Because if you have like, make a project in Unity, Unreal, you have basically unlimited possibilities. So you always can make something better. You can always put something on top, and you might get stuck with the same project forever. So if you just use an engine with a lot of limitations like this one, you can just finish something. Just finish it, it's done, go move on to the next thing. So that is also, I believe, why our teachers wanted us to do this, just so we have like one game under our belt to get started. And yeah, there's a lot of things about this engine I don't like, because it is kind of buggy. You have to do everything super manually, which is not good if you actually want to make a game, but is good for teaching you the process of making a game, because you really have to do like everything yourself and write everything in code. You can't just like drag and drop stuff. So I believe it's very good for learning. Yeah, if you're a full-blown programmer already, there's really no need to learn this. I believe this might actually be cool for script writers or artists, so you can just kind of understand a little bit what programming is like in a not as intimidating manner, because this is like pretty easy to grasp. And yeah, you're kind of gonna be able to work better in a team if you understand kind of what the programmer has to think about, what he has to go through. If you've decided to stick around after hearing the explanation, I'm going to show you how to download the engine and set up everything we need. So the link is going to be in the description, and we're just going to click on SDK download. So we're going to have to make an account, so click on this part, the upper one of the blue ones, and read through the terms of service and agree. So here pick the first one, don't pick this one. This means like agree as a corporation, this means agree as an individual. So make sure to pick this one, it's Kojin. The first field is gonna ask for your developer ID, so just put in any name, and yeah, put in your password again, and put in your email address. Yeah, put in your email address, the year you were born. The next part is gonna be your brand name. So it basically says you can have multiple brand names as one developer, and yeah, you can just come up with your brand name, and this is gonna be used if you end up publishing a game. And yeah, so just type in your brand name, whatever, and this is the yomikata. So this means if your brand name has kanji, this is basically how you can write it in hiragana, because yeah, kanji can have different readings. But if you just use a Western name, you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, website address, you don't have to fill this out. And don't put a tick in here, because this means you plan on making games that people have to pay money for, and I don't really know what that entails, so just leave it out, don't put it in, and yeah, click here to accept. After you finished filling out the form, they're gonna send you an email, but you don't really have to accept anything or confirm anything. You can just go here to login and put in the information you just provided. After that is done, we're gonna be back here and we can finally download the SDK. Yeah, so we're gonna, in my case, I'm gonna use Windows, but feel free to use whatever you want to, and just click download. It's gonna take a while. The next thing we're gonna need is a text editor. I choose to use Sublime Text. It's also gonna be used in web development, so if you know how to use Sublime Text, it's actually gonna be very useful. Yeah, so just download it for whatever platform you have. And after that, we need the syntax highlighting. So somebody was nice enough to make syntax highlighting for Novelsphere for Sublime Text. So yeah, here you can just click on clone or download, download zip. After the download is finished, just install Sublime Text. It should be simple enough, so I'm not gonna go through the steps. There shouldn't be any issues. Once it is installed, navigate to the folder and go to data, packages, and I already have the file here, but yeah, let's just drop the file we downloaded from GitHub before. Just extract it, and yeah, make sure you get this one and just drop it in here. And yeah, I already have it, so I don't need to drop it in again. Yeah, so like once we have this, our Sublime Text should have the syntax highlighting for Novelsphere, which is gonna make it a lot more readable. It's gonna make it a lot nicer. Let's explore what is inside this folder, the first novel folder. Yeah, so we basically have the config.json file. We can just open up our Sublime Text and drag it in here. It's gonna show us all the settings, the default settings, and we can actually change these. So this is the default screen size. We have a resolution of 1136 times 640. This is actually recommended by the developers because it's gonna run in the browser, and if you have like a pretty bad device, like this is gonna make sure it's still gonna be displayed correctly and it's not gonna load like forever. And yeah, like if you just build the games on your computer, it's just gonna load from the hard drive, but like once you put them up on the cloud, if your pictures are really big, it might take forever to load. So this is actually what is recommended, and we're gonna stay with this for the tutorial. Yeah, so just leave everything in the JSON file as it is, but it's just nice to know that you can make some changes here. And yeah, the next thing is plugin. We don't care about plugin at all. But yeah, as you can see, like in everything there's a dummy file, which makes it really nice to use it with GitHub, because you need to have at least one file in the folder for it to recognize it. So yeah, you could like easily implement GitHub in this project as it is and keep track of your changes. So yeah, this is basically the heart of our app. All the image folders are just there for us. Like once we compile the program, all the images are going to be tossed together in a single folder. So this is just for us to keep it simpler. It's like keep a better overview of everything. We could even go inside, for example, foreground images and make our own folders inside here. It doesn't matter at all. But there cannot be a picture with the same name in any of these folders. Like every picture has to have a unique name, because even if they're divided by different folders now, they're gonna start clashing once the compiler puts them together. So yeah, we have like the background images, foreground images, fonts, whatever. We can put everything in here. And yeah, the scenario file is what we're gonna look at now. So this first KS file, we're gonna grab it and drag it into Sublime Text. As you can see on my screen, the color coding is already correct for the syntax, but for you it probably isn't. So go to View, Syntax, and click O2 highlighting. This is what we installed before from the GitHub file. And yeah, this is going to make sure that our code is going to be more readable. It's going to look nicer. Yeah, so here you can see what was actually shown on the screen. So we have current and position. This is the only thing that's written in this file so far. Current is going to make sure that everything we type after is going to be on a certain layer. So we say current layer is message 1 on the foreground. So we're going to go deeper into this later, but there's basically a foreground and a background, and they all have a certain amount of layers. The background is not going to be visible, but we can use it to prepare certain pictures, certain text, and just transition between both of those to make like the loading less visible. And yeah, position, visible true. Position is the position of the text box. It doesn't give it a size or position here. It just says position visible true. So it's basically going to be full screen, and it's going to display our text. And pause. Wait for user input to continue. And after we click, it's going to clear the message. It's going to clear all messages we have. So this is basically what we have so far. Let's just change it up so you can see how it changes. Welcome to this tutorial. Yeah, I can't type right now. And save it. Yeah, so let's go back to the builder and start it again. And you can see welcome to this tutorial. Now that we set up Novelsphere and our editor, we're gonna have to get some assets we can use within the game. And you can find the link in the description. This is for UnityChan. And just click on data download. It's gonna show you the Japanese page, but you can just change it to English. And yeah, this is gonna be the license agreement. So if you're not sure what you can and can't do, like take a look here. If you're gonna publish something, if you just use it for yourself, it's gonna be okay. But if you plan on publishing something, make sure you read through everything here. And yeah, you can agree to the terms and download. We're gonna go for 2D. And yes, Portrait Pack Volume 1. Just download this. I couldn't really find any free assets for the background, like something that fits it well, so we're just gonna go to Unsplash and yeah, download something realistic. It doesn't really fit the picture, but it's gonna be fine for now. Just look for something, whatever you like. Download some pictures, and we're gonna have to resize them and cut them after anyway. So just grab a few you like, and then I'll show you how to resize them. Just open the picture editing software of your choice and make a new project. The width is gonna have to be 1136 and the height is gonna be 640. Just create it. And yeah, now we're gonna drag our picture in here. And we're gonna resize it. Yeah, so depending on what program you have, it's gonna be different obviously. And yeah, just finish this. That's good enough. We can export it now. And yeah, you can use JPEGs, you can use PNGs. It doesn't really matter. After that is done, we're gonna navigate back to our project file, go to data and BG image. And here we're gonna drop the backgrounds we just edited. Once that is done, we can go to FG images and yeah, unpack the UnityChan images we downloaded before. Go to PNG and just grab all of them and put them in here to FG images, FG image. We're going to start out by getting rid of our text box. So just write position visible equals false. This will make the text box invisible, and then we can also get rid of the text because it would otherwise block the view to our background and our image. So now we can load in the image. Just type in image, storage equals, and this is going to be the name of your image. In my case, it's going to be BG01, and you don't need to put in the file extension. The program is actually going to be smart enough to figure it out itself. So just put in the name, whatever you named it, and then we're going to set it left 0, top 0. This is going to be the offset. So we want it to start in the top left, so just put it in like this. And we also have to put in page 4 for the foreground, and layer equals base. So this is going to load our picture, our background image. Yeah, as you can see, it's displayed correctly. Here it's very important that the resolution is the exact same resolution as we set in the JSON file. Now we're going to load in our first character, so just type image again like we did for the background. Type storage equals and copy the file name of the character, like this. Copy the file name of the character and paste it in here. Right left equals 0, top equals 0, page equals 4, layer equals 0. So we're gonna see that we have a problem here because we did not cut the picture to size. So it's actually gonna appear huge, as you can see here. The thing is, there is a way to shrink it down within the engine, but it is really buggy, and I'm gonna show you. So you can put in O2 zoom equals, and let's say we want 30%. So we write it down like this, and we're also gonna do the same here for background, just to demonstrate it. And yeah, let's reload it and see what happens. Yeah, you can see the background shrunk down, but our character is gone. So it's really buggy, and it's not even showing an error. So this is not the way to go. So we are actually going to resize the picture in a picture editor. Open the image in your editor. In my case, we're going to image, scale image, and let's put this height to 500 because our canvas is going to be 640, but there's actually like an empty area above and below her. So yeah, let's just go for height 500. The width is going to change accordingly. Scale it and save it to whatever you like, but remember the name. We're going to do the same thing for 3 more pictures that we're going to use. Yeah, if you want to use the same ones as me, I'll go for the portrait Kohaku number 1, number 2, and portrait Misaki number 1 and number 2, and just do the same thing. Let's go back to our code now and change it up. So we're not going to use this O2 zoom anymore, and we're also not going to use it for the background. And yeah, so now change this, the storage value, to whatever name you gave it, but make sure to not have it be the same name as it was before, because for some reason the picture is not gonna update within the engine. It's still gonna use the old picture even if you delete it. For some reason it's still gonna be saved somewhere in the cache, and it's gonna use the old image. So make sure to always give it a new name. This is a big flaw of this engine. So in my case, I named it UnityChan 01, and we're just gonna load it and see what it looks like. Yeah, you can see it looks a lot better already. The position is still off, so we're gonna move her over here. I played around with it a little bit, and turns out left 600 and top 170 is about right. It's gonna look like this. So we're just gonna use like this. Now the text box is gonna pop in here, so she could be a little bit bigger, but we're gonna keep it like this for now. Now we're gonna make a text box that holds our script. Just come down here, type in the current tag, and also type in position. It's gonna be the same we had up here. So in Sublime Text we can hold down Control and click somewhere, so we have a double cursor. So now we can write on 2 lines at the same time, because current and position are both gonna have some values that are gonna be the same. So type in visible equals true for both, and also type in page equals 4. So we're gonna talk about the layers and the fore and background a little bit more later. For now, basically everything is gonna pop into existence, so it looks very rough. There's not gonna be transitions, but we are gonna do transitions later, and that is what we're gonna use page fore and page back for. But for now, let's just display it like this. Layer is gonna be message 0. So this is everything we're gonna have to type in for current. For position, we're gonna put in some more values. We're gonna put in opacity, and opacity is gonna start from 0 and it's gonna go up until 255, and we wanna have it kind of see-through, so we're gonna go for opacity equals 100. And now we need the width. Width is, so our screen is 1136, so let's just go for about 800, and height is probably gonna be around 200. Left should be, yes, now we're actually gonna have to do some math, so we can go for, yeah, left 1136 minus 800, so we have 336 left on both sides. So we're just gonna divide this by 2, so we have 168 on the left. Yeah, 168. And for the top, we're just gonna guess, well, we're not gonna guess, we have 640. We have the height of the box for 200. We don't want to have it right at the bottom. If you would want to have it right at the bottom, we just go for 440, but we want to have a small gap, so let's just go for about 400, and this should show the box. Yeah, as you can see, we have the box. I think it is a little bit too high and maybe not wide enough. Well, the width is okay actually, yeah, but we're gonna make it a little bit smaller and maybe go closer to the edge. So to change it up, we're just gonna go back here. We're gonna give it height 150, and so now we have 50 less, so we 350 would be the same position as before, but we're actually gonna push it a little bit more, so let's go for 80. Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. Have the character here, have the text box, yeah, and now if you type in the text, it's gonna appear here in our box. Let's just try that out for a second. Let's just type hello, I'm UnityChan, and pause here. The text is being displayed correctly within our box, but you can see there's a big margin up here. We can actually influence this, but because we didn't set it, it just went with the default value. So now let's just go back to our script and set margin T for margin top. You can see margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left. But for now, we're just going to set margin T equals 0. And this is going to pull our text upward a little bit. Yeah, so here you can see the difference. This is margin 0, this is the default value. Now that we set up the groundwork for a project, let's slow down a little bit and go into detail on text tags. But first, we're going to have a look at the tag reference. So this is in Japanese usually, but you can just right click and translate to English. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough. And usually the attribute name is going to be self-explanatory, so you can know what it does. So let's have a look at the current tag, because we used it before. So the current tag, actually I just noticed there is no visible attribute, so we can get rid of this. The visible is only needed in position, so this actually does nothing. We just need page and layer. So let's talk about the text tags now. We already used this before. P stands for pause, and yes, we have this before. So now we're going to add CM. CM stands for clear message. So let's look at our program now. You can see it stops here, it pauses and shows this image, and if you press, it's going to clear the message. So what you don't see is this actually clears all the text messages. We only have one, so it's only going to affect this one, but once we have more messages, we have to be careful with how we use CM. And these usually are used in a pair together, so you always will have PCM. And yeah, let's just have a look at L and R. L is going to do the exact same thing as P does, but the image is different. So it's usually used when you have multiple lines, and if you click it, you just want a line break and start another line. So that is what we're going to do now, just the image is different. Let's write some more text. And let's have a look at it now. So you can see the L, and when we click, the R is going to happen. We have P and CM. So these 4 tags are very simple to understand, and we're going to use them over and over and over again. So make sure you have a good grasp on them, just play around with them a little bit, write your own text. And then we're going to start talking about font tags. Let's look at the font tags in the reference. So just type in font, you see def font here. Yeah, but def font and font both have the exact same attributes, so you don't have to scroll all the way up, just believe me. So you can see here required, there are none required, so you can only use the ones that you really want to. We are going to focus on size, color, and bold. These are the most important ones. You can try out the other ones if you want to, but I'm just going to use those three for now. So the difference between def font and font is that def font is permanent while font is temporary. So for example, we want to have def font before all of our text, so let's write def font size equals, let's just go for 15, color equals, so the color is actually in hexadecimal code, so write in 0x, and then we have 2 digits for red, 2 for green, and 2 for blue. So let's say we write FF0000, and yeah, hexadecimal is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. So we have 16 values we can represent with the system, and F is the strongest value. So if we have FF, it equals 255. Also, like opacity, the value can be from 0 to 255. And in this case, FF means 255 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue. So this is going to be full on red. And have bold equals true. So the thing though is, if we start it like this now, nothing is going to change. So yeah, I'm just going to show you, because we just set what font we want to, what font we want to have, but we don't tell the program to actually use it. So it's just going to display the font from before. In order to use it, we have to use reset font, and this is going to use the font we set in def font from now on. And reset font and CM basically do the same thing in this regard. CM also triggers reset font and resets the font, and we're going to have a look at that later. But now it's actually going to show up as expected. As you can see, the text is red now, small and bold. But this is not very readable, so let's just go for something more normal for now. Let's go size 30. Color, let's go for white, which is all colors mixed together completely, and we don't need bold. Yeah, so the thing about font is, it is temporary, so we can change only this line if we want to. So let's only change the color. Let's go for a mix between green and blue. So yes, so this is only going to change this part up until CM, and then it is going to revert back to what we said in def font. So let's write some more lines here. Let's have a look at it in our program now. So this is our standard font we set in def font, and this is the special font we set in font. So it's only gonna appear here. We have the P, and when we click CM, it's going to be executed, and it's going to revert back to our def font. So you can use this if you only want to change a single word or a single sentence. Yeah, you can use font. The next thing we're going to talk about is very similar. It's the style tags. We have 3 different tags, just like with font. We have style, def style, and reset style, which works in a very similar way. So let's just try it out here. Let's go for def style, and set it to, let's take a look at what attributes it holds. Style, def style and style have the same attributes. We are going to care about align, line spacing and pitch. We don't care about the rest at the moment. So let's go for align equals center. There is going to be an issue which I'm going to show you with align. We have line spacing equals 0 pixels and pitch equals 0 pixels. And again, we have to reset it here, reset style. And let's just put in something else here so you can see the difference. Let's put in style and align right, just so you can see the difference. Okay, let's start the program. I had a typo here, so let's fix that and look at it again. Everything is still normal here. Let's click it. It comes from the middle and now it comes from the right. So the problem you can see here though is it cuts off the lower part of our G and our Y. So this does not work for alphabetical languages. It works without an issue for Japanese though. So we're not going to use align anymore. And also let's get rid of this part of, actually let's get rid of style altogether because it doesn't look very good. I just put it in to demonstrate what we can do with it. Let's get rid of it for now. Now we're going to talk about two very important tags, current and position. We used these before, as you can see here. For example, your current page equals 4, layer equals message 0. This sets which layer we want to type on. So by setting the layer here, everything we type after is going to correspond to this layer message 0. So unless we set the layer to message 1 at some other point, it's always going to be message 0 and we don't have to type it again. Here, for example, we can just only leave this one and delete this one, for example, because we only need it once. And yeah, for position, it also holds visible and page 4 and layer equals message 0. But it also holds a lot of other attributes like opacity, width, height, left, top, margin, like this. So this sets our text box where we want to have our text box, and the margin within it, the opacity, the color. And yeah, let's just look at the reference tags. You can see the position tag and all the attributes it holds. So these are a lot of attributes you can possibly use with this tag, and most of them are very important, so we're going to use them a lot throughout this tutorial. Yeah, so the next thing we have to talk about now, because you see layer, we keep on talking about layers and page 4 back. The system of layers in NovelSphere is like this. So you have a foreground and a background. The background is never seen by the user, but we can use the background to prepare images, preload them, and then make a smooth transition. So all the layers you can see here, message 1 and message 0 are the message layers. All of these layers exist once in the foreground and once in the background. So we have message 1, message 0 in the foreground, message 1, message 0 in the background. And then you have image layers 3, 2, 1, and 0. So you cannot have an image on exact, let's say, layer 4, 5, 6, because they don't exist. Only 0 to 3 exist. And then these are going to hold our characters and other stuff, while the base layer holds our background image. Let's now use these tags to have a name box appear, which shows our character's name so we know who's talking. So let's just call this scenario. Oh yeah, by the way, this is how you can write comments in NovelSphere. Just put in the semicolon, and this is going to be our name box. Okay, let's start out by setting. So now we're going to run into an issue because we have the current up here. So let's put it down here and copy it. Set current layer to message 1, and position visible equals true, page equals true, page equals 4, layer equals message 1. So this is going to set our position, our text box. Yeah, let's go for opacity equals 200, width should be around 150, height should be around 30 pixels, Left should start where the other box starts, a little bit more to the left, so let's go for 158. And top is going to be the value for the other box minus the height and a little bit extra because we want them to overlap slightly, so let's go for 460. Yes, so we are going to have to set the margin later, but for now I'm just going to leave it to show you something. So let's type in the character name now, Unity Chan. Let's fix this typo and it should be fine now. It's really hard to type and talk at the same time, a lot harder than I expected. So yeah, you can see now it's a 150 and yeah, it's in a nice position. We can also change the color here. So let's go for color, start again with hex. Let's go for red, not red, FF0000. And this is going to change the color of our box. Yeah, so this looks kind of nice. We're just going to leave it like this and go back here. The problem we have though, our name is not being displayed correctly within our box. We just see the box, but we can't see the name, and this is because the margin and line spacing is too big. So let's just fix that for now. Yeah, go here, type in margin T equals 0 and margin L equals 10. And we're going to need to set the style as well. So have style line spacing equals 0. It's still not going to be perfect, but I'll show you what it looks like now. Yeah, so you can see the text now, but it's still too big. So let's change the font as well. So type font size equals, let's go for 20. Bold equals true. Yeah, you can see it looks nice now. So we are done with this. And the problem we're going to run into now is because here we have P and CM. CM is going to erase all of our layers, so it's also going to erase our character name. So let's change that really quick. So where CM is, we go in there and here and put an ER instead. So ER stands for erase layer. I guess it should be called EL in my opinion, but it erases everything on the layer. I'm not sure what the R stands for, but yeah, just remember ER. And if we start it now, you can see that it's not going to erase our character name. Yes, so our character name is going to be there all the time. But one thing that is a problem, our character name scrolls in slowly, just like text here, but we want our character name to appear right away. So in order to do that, it's very easy. Just go here and type in no wait. You can also use and no wait to have the text return to what it was before, the way it builds up slowly, but it's only going to be for the layer we set in current. So this is not going to affect the rest of our text here, so we just leave it to no wait. We don't care about and no wait because yeah, the character name should always pop up instantly. Let's have a look at it. Save. Yeah, the name just pops up immediately, so that is exactly what we want. Now we can finally start working on transitions. This is going to make our project look a lot smoother and nicer. So yes, after the short conversation, we want to show the second character that we prepared before. So here, type in backlay. So what backlay does is it takes everything that is on the front layer that we talked about before, takes all the layers on the front and copies them to the back. And then we can manipulate the back how we want it and make a transition. So we can take stuff away from that or put new stuff in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the image storage equals, and now you're going to have to put in the name of that you used before for the Unity Chan one. And I think for me it is Misaki01. If this is wrong, I'm going to have to check it after, but I think it's correct. And put in left. Let's just go for 250. Top, the same as Unity Chan, 170. Page equals 4. No, actually in this case, page equals back. This is very important because we want to prepare the picture on the back layer and then make the transition. So page equals back and layer equals 1, not 0. So because if it's 0, it's going to erase the other layer. So we want both of the characters to show up. If you want to erase one character, yeah, you can do that, but it's probably smart to always keep the same character on the same layer if you have less than 4 characters. Yes, so this is still only going to prepare the picture on the background, but it's not going to show it. So in order to do that, we're going to need trans, and you can look up all of these tags in the documentation if you want to know what else you can do with them. Trans time is a required attribute, and this is milliseconds. So we have 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. And yeah, let's just do that. Yes, let's just do that. Take a look at it. Conversation, Unity Chan, and now when we click, she should appear. And yes, you can see she appears, and she transitions in smoothly. Well, more or less smoothly. There was a little hiccup, but yeah, the big problem we have now is she's looking to the left, but she should look to the right, so it looks like they're having a conversation. So let's set that up really quickly. Go back to image and type in flip LR equals true. So this is going to mirror our image, so she's going to look to the right. Let's have a look here. Yes, so very easy fix. It's still kind of janky on transition, but I think it's just in the development environment, or we can make the transition longer. Actually, yeah, sorry, there's one more thing we can do with trans, and we're going to do WT, wait transition, because yeah, even if you have the trans time and you click, or like, it's not going to wait for the transition to stop before it executes the code that is after it. So that's probably what caused the jankiness. Let's try it again. So yeah, you can see now the transition is smooth, because before it tried to like execute the rest of the code, but there was no other code, so it just kind of went crazy. So yeah, WT is for wait transition. What we want to do now is we want to display her name, because she's going to be talking next. So here we just put in current layer equals message 1, page equals 4, and now we can type in Misaki. And yes, so this is not going to work, but I'll show it to you first. Yeah, so you just saw it right here, right? It like this appeared for a second, and it disappeared again, and it also appeared below the name of Unity Chan, because we didn't erase Unity Chan. So let's go back in, and yeah, so here we set the current layer and set ER. This is going to erase Unity Chan, but we still have the problem with the positioning, and this is because we set the style here as style and font, but not as def style and font. So we should set it to def style and def font, so that it's going to be used for the entire layer all the time, because otherwise it's going to be reset and we have the big margin, the big line spacing again. So type in reset style here and def font, reset font, and this should work out now. Okay, one more problem. We're going back in here, and the problem is that we have current layer page 4, but it should be page back. So you can see like shows the Misaki for a second, and then it transitions back to Unity Chan. So yeah, now you can see it transitions smoothly, and Misaki's showing up, and she's going to be the next to talk, and now we can use the text box to have her talk. By now our file has become a mess, so now we can finally start talking about macros to make it cleaner and less redundant. So let's start with that. Let's just make a distinction here, make script, and above that we're going to have our macros. We're going to divide our file into our scripts into different files after, but for now just start like this, macro. And yes, so first of all we're going to start with this one. This is pretty short as it is already, but it's going to be used a lot later, so let's just name a macro. So we can start like this. We have add macro and have the macro macro name, so you can just set whatever you like. So I think I'm going to call this one text box hide, and we can end it with end macro. And it's going to, like, if you put in the name of text box hide, just to say here, text box hide, it's going to execute everything within this macro and end macro. We're going to type in position visible equals false, because we want to hide it. layer equals message 0 and page equals 4. So all this is going to do is it's going to hide our text box, the box for the text where we type in. It's not going to affect our name box because we have layer message 0. So the thing is, instead of position, you can also use layopt. It does the exact same thing, but it's better for readability. Like, the rule is, if you just want to hide it and unhide it, just use layopt. It does the same thing as position does. So now that we set this, we're not going to need this one anymore. And yeah, it's going to work just the same way. Let's just try it out. Yeah, you can see it's not going to show the box first. And so yeah, we can have a clear look on the background. And yeah, let's do the same thing for the name box, because we're gonna want to hide it later. So we can make another macro. Name is name box hide, and we're just going to type in end macro and copy this and change layer to message 1. So I'm just going to show you how we can use this. Yeah, text box hide. Let's just say, for no reason, we want to hide the name box. Doesn't make any sense here, but yeah, let's just go for name box hide, and it's going to disappear. Yeah, so we're gonna execute our program. Here it's still normal, and yeah, you can see here we hide the name box, which we don't want to do here. But yeah, because later we want to show event scenes, so we want to hide all the boxes easily. So let's get rid of it here, but now we prepared it, we can use it later. It's going to be very useful. The next one we're going to prepare is for a background, so we can set a macro, name equals load bg, and macro, and yeah, we're just going to type in this. And yeah, so for the background we always want left to be 0 and top to be 0, and yeah, page can be for or back. So in order to keep it free, we can put it in like this: page equals %page. If it is like this, then we're always going to have to type it in when we call the macro. So let's say we call load bg here, and yeah, so all of the other ones have a default value, like storage has default value, left has default value, top has one, but page does not. So if we don't set the value page here to something, it's going to crash. So if you have it like this, you always have to set in a value when you use the macro. In order to prevent this, we can set a default value. Just use the pipe and type in 4. So 4 is going to be the default value for load background, but actually back makes more sense in this case. Yeah, so we can use it both for 4 and for back in this case. And yeah, if we don't type in anything, it's going to use the default value, which is back. So yeah, layer is always going to be the same, left and top is always going to be the same, but storage is going to change, and we don't want a default value for storage. So you could actually change this if you want to have something that's more semantic, so we can call it file name, for example. So storage is going to take the value from file name. So here you can put load bg, file name equals bg01. And you can see this is a lot shorter and more readable than this is. So let's get rid of this one. And yeah, let's check if it works. It should work just fine. Okay, it does not work. In this case, because it's the first picture, we just want to load it up, not in the background without a transition. We could make a transition, but for now let's just keep it like this and type in page 4. So this is going to overwrite the default value of back and put it in 4. So yeah, this should work just fine. You can see this is already a lot shorter than this is and a lot more readable. Let's get rid of this and run it. Yeah, you can see it loads up perfectly fine. Everything works. So yeah, making macros seems like a lot of work, but if you make a big program, like you gotta do the work once, and then it's going to save you a lot of time. because you can make very nice macros with JavaScript later on that are going to make your life very easy. So even if it seems like a lot of work, it's going to save you a lot of time if you have a long project. And it's also nice to learn. The next macro we're going to work on is for our characters. So let's make another 2 macros. Name, load char left, and macro. And let's make another one. Name equals load char right and macro. So yeah, for the left, we're not going to put in the character name, but we are going to put in the values for the position as standard. So load character right is going to be this one. Load character right, copy it in. Storage is going to be equal to, let's just go for file name again. File name. And yeah, instead here, we're going to use load char right, file name equals UnityChan01. Yes. And yeah, we're going to keep the left value as default. We're going to keep the top value the same. Page, we're not going to use for now. We're going to do transition, so always keep page to back because the character is supposed to transition in. Layer is going to be 0. Yes, so this will load our character on the right. We're only going to have to put in the file name. So yeah, like you see here, load char right, file is UnityChan. And yeah, but the thing now is she's only going to be shown in the background. So yeah, she's not going to show up unless we do a transition. So let's also just put the transition inside of our macro. So we're going to use backlay, have the image storage, and yeah, so now we need to do the trans. Time equals 1000 milliseconds, or we can do it longer, like 2000 milliseconds, and then wait transition. So this is going to load our character and also do the transition to display her. So let's just have a look at it. Yeah, so you can see she transitions in slowly and everything else is waiting for the transition to stop. So until the transition is finished, nothing else is going to happen. Now we're going to do the same thing for load char left. We're going to keep storage to file name as well. We only want to change these values. So we go down to where we load in Misaki. Yeah, so just copy out these values and the flip left right, because the left character is always going to look to the right. So copy this in here, paste it in here. And yeah, so now we have load char left. We're not going to use the transition here anymore because the transition is inside the macro now. And we're going to handle the text box differently. Just type in load char left, file name equals Misaki01. And yeah, we didn't talk about this yet, but as you can see, you can do both with quotes and without quotes, and both of them work. Like, it's obviously a good habit to have the quotes there, but if you just want to finish the program and make something sloppy, it works just as well without the quotes. Yeah, so this is going to have our character appear, and yeah, also do the transition, so we can get rid of this, we can get rid of the trans time. So our first character fades in. You can skip the wait transition by clicking. Yeah, so now our second character is fading in. You can skip it again, but you see this does not change, and the problem is that this is still set to page back, so we can just set this to page 4. The text in the name box is now going to change immediately. Yeah, once the transition is done, the name in the text box changes. We don't really need a transition here, it still looks okay if it just pops in. I just noticed that the macros are not not case sensitive, because you can see here that it's actually a small L and here it's a big L. So yeah, this engine is actually very lenient when it comes to stuff like this. I did not know before about this one, to be honest. So yeah, just fix that and make a new macro, because we can also shorten our def style, def font, where we set the font and the style for our name box. Just copy this out, make a new macro with add macro, name equals init name box. Yeah, init name box, and macro. Let's copy this in here. So we're not going to need position. We're going to use current message layer message 1. Yeah, equals 4. Def style line space and reset style reset font. Yeah. So we can just get rid of this and say init name box to initialize the font. Let's just check if there's no errors. Should be fine. Yeah, everything still works, no problems. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. So for the name box, so we can just copy this out and say macro name equals display name box, and macro, copy it in. This is very long. So yeah, it's always going to be the same, so we don't have any variables here. It's just going to be the same all the time. So we can copy this out, display name box, get rid of this, and put it in here, display name box, init name box. We can also have it on the same line, it doesn't make a difference. And wait, no wait should be inside of init. Actually, we can use this also inside of init name box. Have no wait in here. Can get rid of that, make it even cleaner. Yeah, so you can see here we just have display name box, init name box, and yeah, init name box could actually be at the top of our text, because yeah, it initializes it for our entire project. So yeah, you can just have it here, all the initializations, and we're gonna load the background, load the character, and yeah, now we have the name box and type in the name. We could also have text inside here, so you could, for example, put the name down here, but it's actually kind of hard to change it. So if you want to use it for another character, it's hard to change it without JavaScript, which we didn't learn yet in this program. So we're going to leave it out for now and just have it like this. Display name box, have the Unity chain here, and now we're going to do the same thing for the text box. So first, let's go for this, the def font, and yeah, so we can make the same thing as we did for init name box. We make init text box, name equals init text box, and add end macro. So again, this looks like a lot of stuff right now, but it's going to make it so much easier once you have a big a long project. Because yeah, if you really just have like a short thing like this, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you keep on going, it's going to make your life so much easier. So yeah, we have this here now, and then again we can go here. We need the current though. Current equals message 0. Yeah, because otherwise it's going to apply to the last layer we loaded. So put it like this, and in the text box can go to the top now as well, and we can get rid of it. Oh, we already got rid of it. Yeah. So now the next thing, we also want to do the same thing with the text box itself. So like the same we did for display name box. Again, macro name equals display text box, and macro. Yeah, we could obviously make these a lot shorter, but yeah, I just want to keep it semantic for now, so it's easy to follow. And again, message run for position true. Yeah, this is all correct. So we can get rid of this and just have display text box. Okay, let's just check if everything works. If everything still works fine. It loads up, it loads our boxes, everything is working as planned, but here it kind of stops. So let's check what the console says. Error page break ASD. Sometimes it bugs out because before I just had it like show an error message for no reason, but now it works fine. So yeah, just try again if something doesn't work and see if it really is an issue or if it's just like the engine. There is still more we can clean up here. For example, after we call in the character, we can just load the name box, display name box, and yeah, just go here, display name box. But one thing is that's going to happen now is we're not going to delete, because before we had ER here, we're not going to delete the name that is in there before, so we're going to have to add that to display name box. Just put an ER here first, so it's always going to flush the layer before displaying the name. So yeah, just look at this, like this is our entire script now. It was like twice as long before, so this is already pretty nice. Again, we could also do stuff for the font and the color here. Actually, we're not gonna need it, I just put it in there for display purposes. Yeah, so just have a look at it again, check if everything works fine. Everything is okay here, yeah. There's one more thing we can clean up, it's L and R and P and ER. We can make it easier to use, so just make another macro. Name equals, let's just go for something short, X, so we can keep on using it over and over again. And macro, so this is just going to be L and R. So we can just put an X here. Yeah, we use it here. And P and ER is going to be Y. Macro name equals Y. And macro, put in here P and ER. So now we can just put in Y here, and put Y in here. So this is going to make it easier to read, and yes, just have a look at it again. Everything still works fine. If you scroll up and you see all the macros, it's going to start to be confusing again. So after we learn about the jump tag and the call tag, we can make two different files. We can make different files to put in the macros in. So now we're just gonna play around with those tags first, so you can understand what they do. Let's talk about the jump tag. We can use it here, for example. Type in jump target equals, let's just say 1. Why not? Yeah, target equals 1, and put in the asterisk before it. And yeah, here we're gonna put in the label 1. So yeah, once our script reaches this point, it's going to jump to 1, so we are not going to see welcome to this tutorial. It's just gonna skip over it. Let's just have a look. So it loads up, hello MunityChan, we click, and I'm going to teach you how you can make your own visual novel. It just completely jumped over this part. This part is going to be completely ignored because we just keep on jumping here. And yeah, like you could, for example, go here and then make another jump tag, target equals 2, and put it here. So what's going to happen here is we're going to reach this point, jump to 1, display this text, and then we're going to jump back to 2. It's going to display this and go here again, go here again, and then we're going to be caught in an infinite loop. So this is quite interesting. Let's just have a look at what it's going to be like in the game. Yeah, now we click, and it keeps on going in circles now because we keep on jumping between those two labels. And yeah, once you use JavaScript, you can put logic into those loops and break out of it at a certain point, like once you hit a certain amount of loops. So yeah, so this is just how you can use it. Obviously you're not going to use it like this because your game is just going to keep on looping, but yeah, we can also use it in more interesting ways, and yes, we're going to do that soon. But now let's just get rid of jump, and we're going to talk about call. Call is pretty similar, but it's going to remember the place we called it at. So let's say we call target 1 here, and we put 1 here. It's going to jump here. Wait. Yeah, it's going to jump here. It's going to execute whatever is there, and it's going to keep on looking for return. And once it hits return, it's going to go back here and keep on doing the same thing it did before. So this way, yeah, we're going to display this, jump over this, display the rest of the text, and we're going to return back here and display this again, and then it's just going to ignore the label and it's going to ignore return, just keep on going normally with the text. So let's have a look at that. We have this, we're going to skip, this one part because we call the later part, and we go back because it remembered the part we returned. And yeah, so now it displayed it. So I just checked the error, and it turns out you're not allowed to run over return a second time. So yeah, when we call this one, we run over return and we go back, everything is fine, but then when we hit return the second time, it throws an error. So you're not supposed to have return at a place that you're going to go through normally, and that is actually the part where return is very useful, is for macros, because we only want to go over them once and then return back to our other file. So this is actually what we're going to set up now. So you're not supposed to use return like this. Yeah. Yeah, let's just get rid of it and put it at the top. So we just got rid of the call and the jump, and now we're going to make two more files that we can jump and return to. Let's go to our folder, open data, and scenario. So now we just have this one file. Just copy it, paste it, copy it, paste it. This one we're going to call macro. This one we're going to call scenario, small scenario. So we can open these two up in our editor now. Just drag them in here, get rid of everything, get rid of everything. Actually, here we can just go back and keep the macros, get rid of everything else. Just keep the macros. Yeah, you could make it look nicer if you put in, like, for example, let's say comments and say text macros, and have text box macros. Just keep it nice and divided, keep it more readable. This is what you're supposed to do in a big project, just like this. Do the same for the image macros. Yeah, so this is our macro file, and we're going to set a label here. We call it macro start, and we're going to set return in the end. Return. Yeah, so our program is always, the builder is always going to start in the first KS file. We can get rid of the macros now because we moved them over to the macro file. We don't need the script here. Yeah, so before anything we do, we're going to call, let me zoom in. We're going to call target equals macro, target equals macro start. And there's another tag where you can, another attribute where you can go to move to another file. I have to look it up because I forgot it. Yeah, here you can see storage, scenario file name. So we're going to put in storage, so it's just the same as for pictures. Storage equals, you see macro ks, and this is the only case where we're going to have to put in the file extension. So put in storage macro ks, target macro start, as you can see here. So this is going to call our macro file, go through all the macros, remember them, and return back to this point and go over the rest. Because now we know what text box height is, now we know what init name box height is. If we put this above the call, it's not going to work because our computer is not going to know what this is. So once we did that, we can copy, well, just cut all of this out, put in the scenario file, and make a label, call it scenario start. You could also do this without a label, but I feel more secure doing it with. You could just get rid of target, only have storage in there, but yeah, I don't really like that. So now we do jump, storage equals scenario ks, target equals scenario start, and don't forget this for the label. So what's going to happen now is the program opens this file. It's going to call the macros, it's going to return here, it's going to do all these initializations, and it's going to jump to scenario, never going to return back here. And then it's going to load what's going on in here. So let's just try that out. Yeah, you can see everything still looks the same as it did before. I want to change the name boxes after all, so let's just grab the name UnityChan, go to our macro file. We have name box, not text box, name box. Display name box, and here we're just gonna put in UnityChan, and we're just gonna call it name uni, and we're going to copy it, and we're gonna make another one for Misaki, and we're gonna call it name Misaki right here. So yeah, so our macro file is becoming larger by doing this, but we can just have one line instead of two here. So there's name uni, and here name Misaki, and get rid of the text. Now you pretty much have all the tools you need to make your game. The most important part. There's more stuff you can do, but this is the base knowledge you need to make something. I've come up with a little bit of a scenario here, so you can see I just keep on reusing the same few macros and tags. So this is when Unity-chan talks, we just need her picture. We need the name box for Unity-chan and the display text box. We're gonna have some text. The other character pops in. Again, we have the name box, the text box, and yeah, we would not need to load the character again, but I decided to use another picture for their character so their facial expression changes. And yeah, because otherwise you could just leave this away and just keep switching between the both people who are talking, just switch the nameplate and switch the text. So there's another thing I want to show you, because in the beginning we still have the name box and the display text box that is just popping in from nothing. And just for the first time that we load it, we have to make a transition as well for it. So we can actually make a nested macro. We're gonna use the name Unity-chan and display text box. We can copy it, go into our macros, and yeah, let's just call it macro name equals init text, init boxes, and macro. Yeah, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna have these two, and what I like to do for a nested macro, if I use another macro, I just put a tab here with 4 spaces. And yeah, we're gonna need the backlay before that, backlay, and make a quick transition. Trans time equals, let's say, 500, and use init boxes here. In this case, we want to load them in the background, so as it is set up right now, it's not going to work, because even if we put in here page equals back, and also for Unity-chan page equals back, it's not going to work because we have a set default value for the display text box. So for display text box, we're going to type in page, percentage page pipe 4. So 4 is going to be the default value, but if we pass back, it's going to take that one. And the same for name uni. And we have to do this for both the current layer, because we're going to start typing already. We want the text to appear right away, and we're going to do it for page for position as well. So percentage page, the pipe 4. Yeah, so now you can see we have a much smoother transition in the beginning. And yeah, you saw I also changed something with the color, just played around with it a little bit to make it look nicer. We're going to make one last nested macro. We're going to call it name equals hide all, and macro. And yeah, we're going to use the text box hide and have it page equals back, and the same thing for name box hide, page equals back. Because it's a nested macro, that's just what I like to do. Have the tab here again, and again we need to change it here as well so it accepts the new value, page, and put the pipe in here. Yeah, so we can use hide all now. So we go to the bottom of our text now, call backlay, then use hide all, and we're gonna load a new picture in the background. So we have load bg, file name equals, let's go for bg02, page equals back. Here we're going to use layout on our images because we're just gonna change whether they're visible or not. So if layout page equals back, visible equals false, and layer equals 0, and copy it. Oh shit. Copy it and have it one time for layer equals 1. Then trans time equals 2000. Make a slow transition. This is going to create an event scene, so basically everything is going to be hidden except for the picture, and we're going to transition into it. So let's have a look at our finished product. Yeah, our character is transitioning in, our text box is transitioning in. There's an issue with the margin that we could fix, because here it's okay. So I think we're not initializing it correctly. Yeah, so the conversation goes on, the expressions change, and we're going to reach our event scene now. So you can see it fades out, and now we just see the picture. So this is usually used to show art. And yeah, so this is our finished thing. So just by knowing these things, you can polish it up a lot, you can make your own story, use your own characters. So this is pretty much everything you need to know to make the basics of the game. There's other stuff you can do. You can use JavaScript to make a map system, to make inventory system, to make a health system. You can also make a main menu, make a menu within the game. You can make choices, obviously. So that is all advanced stuff we're not going to cover in this video. If somebody actually makes it through this entire video, which I highly doubt, and cares to know the rest, I'm gonna make it. But I might make it anyway, even if nobody cares or I feel like it. But yeah, if there's a few people that actually care, I'm definitely gonna make the video, so let me know in the comments. Yeah, goodbye.